Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to the Discomfort Zone podcast, and I am here today with my beautiful co-host, Katrina Hanshaw with the Christian Doll Lending Team.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know me, I am Lisa Wayman with Corner Escrow, and today we have a super special guest. Katrina, can you introduce him?
I'm so excited about this. This gentleman, his name is Adam Nogueira. Nogueira.
That's all right.
Said it wrong.
We practiced like 8 times.
I practiced.
Okay.
That's
all
okay.
right.
Keep going.
But what's really cool is I'm so excited to get a male perspective in what we're doing.
Yeah.
But he is from KSA, which is Kim Steele and Associates, powered by Signature Real Estate. And we have the honor of talking with him today and just, kind of sharing. And this is authentic and real. And we didn't send any questions to him at all.
He's
so
in the
he
hot
has
seat.
no idea what we're going to ask him right now. And I'm sure he's a little wondering. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Adam. I know that you're married and you do real estate and you are a personal trainer.
I'm from Fallbrook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys are from the hood.
We're from the hood. I've known Adam
country,
since
right?
high school, right? High school, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
cool.
So, Adam, where did you start?
So I was born and raised in Fallbrook, California. Went through all the school systems there and met a ton of great people, and I just kind of never left. I really did fall in love with the town itself and, the closeness of everybody. Being a small town, you really don't get that too often anymore. So
For sure.
I ended up sticking around, and like you had mentioned, I got into personal training and did that for a few years. Ended up doing a little bit of bodybuilding and stuff, and it was an awesome experience, actually, just building up the mental strength, going
Right.
through that struggle to really get your body to, the top level or that you could potentially do, not really about anybody else or comparing, just it was more a journey for me. And in that process, I actually met my business partners who I started training, and we became real good friends, and they started talking to me, asking me questions about, what I really wanted to do, and they were looking at their bank account and saw how much money I was taking from them every month. And they're like, you should probably do real estate, man. You're pretty great at working with people. And I think you'd really enjoy it. And I never looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
How long ago was that?
That was about 5 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
lots
you've been
changed.
with Kim Steele and Associates the whole time?
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Pretty much since the creation. I think they had really been focusing primarily on the investment side at the time.
Right.
And then they started transitioning, into the retail side, and that's when I jumped on board and started working with them, primarily focusing, with the buyer side and working our way up to creating the team, and went on to build a brokerage that was, we had about 60, 70 agents with us with a
Wow.
escrow and lending business, and it was complete chaos.
I bet. Well, I was just thinking, because, when you go from, personal training is pretty structured, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like you have your certain, movements that you do and your weights and, different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of repetitive. But real estate is so different, like extremely. I mean,
It
you're
is.
dealing with so many different, I know you're dealing with people in bodybuilding or, training, but
Mm-hmm.
with real estate, it's kind of a totally different emotion. How did you, transfer into that and jump right into that?
Right. So I'm a firm believer that, what I was doing as a personal trainer isn't a whole lot different from what a realtor does. You're really working with somebody to envision their dream, right? Whether it's their body or the home they're looking to buy. They see this dream in their head, and you're trying to pull that out, right? And get them to really imagine what that would be like, right? And then from there, it's really just trying to walk them down that path,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah, so it's similar.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yeah.
very mental.
Exactly. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like buying a car, So
Right.
it's a process. You're working
Yeah.
with these people for 6 months to
Yep.
a year, just like you do in the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very, very comparable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's just a different dream
Yeah,
that
I
you're
didn't think
chasing.
of it like that.
Yeah.
So, Adam, when you first started real estate, everybody struggles a little bit when they first start and try to
Sure.
find their niche and their flow and how
Yep.
they're going to do it. Talk a little bit about that, because you've only been in it for 5 years, a short time, but you are killing it. I mean, you're doing such a great job.
Thank
I'm so
you.
proud of you. I've known him forever. And when I got into real estate, I started noticing him. Of course, you notice the people who are in the
Right.
industry more.
Right.
And you're doing a great job for only being in it for 5 years. So what struggles did you hit when you first started, and how did you kind of overcome those to get where you are today? Because you're relatively successful. I think you mentioned with us earlier, you've done about 15 or 20 transactions already just this year, which is huge.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
you.
So
Thank you.
how did you start?
I really have to credit my partners. They
Yeah.
are unbelievable mentors,
Yeah.
and they gave us, so much guidance and direction from knowing the investment side.
Mm-hmm.
It was really just adjusting to the person. We weren't tailoring to investors any longer, but we were tailoring to the everyday client because the market had shifted. This was back in like 2014, 2015 when the market was really starting to come up.
Yeah.
So, they did an unbelievable job in kind of educating me on the actual business itself.
Right.
And we just really worked hard together to, just slowly double down and grow, incrementally over the years. Yeah. But, it's the consistency more than anything, and just the accountability,
For sure.
that we kind of kept each other on the same path.
And what does that look like? So, just give us your day. Like, you wake up at what time? What time do you start? What do you do? What books are you reading? What podcasts do you listen to?
Great
what
questions.
motivates you?
Other than this one.
So, especially with, Corona hitting.
Yeah.
It was a huge adjustment for me personally, and I am a creature of habit. Like, I need my routine or I start like crumbling, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I immediately had to adjust everything, as I'm sure everyone else did, or whatever. So typically before Corona, I was getting into the gym by 5 a.m.
Yep.
and I was getting
early.
It's just I got to start earlier, else I won't get it done.
for sure. You won't
So get up, get into the gym by 5:30 at the latest. From there, as I'm driving to the gym, I'm listening to my audiobook. As I'm driving back from the gym, I'm listening to my audiobook.
What book is it?
Right now, I'm listening to The 7 Habits of Effective People, highly successful people.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that's a good one.
That's a really good one. I've been digging into quite a few books, lately, but I'm like strange, I guess. I can't read
Me either.
for more than 10 minutes or I
Right.
pass out.
Me
Like,
too.
I'm
so
the same
I'm the same way. I
I-
cannot read at night. I
I'm
have
like,
a book sitting on my nightstand for like
I just look
10
at it. I
years.
just look at it
Yeah.
and I'm out. I'm like that.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm the
perfect.
I'm the same
Right.
way.
You
I'm
know.
girl. I'll just
So-
read this and fall asleep.
It's a great coaster for my water.
Exactly. So for me, I'm all about the audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yes, me
I
too.
like to listen to at least 2 to 3 books a month. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And sometimes I'll re-listen to that same book.
Yeah.
And, really take some different things away the second
Right.
time I listen to it, or even third time, depending on the book.
Sure.
And then I do my daily prayers. With
Love that.
with the wife, and
Yeah.
kind of go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that kind of jump starts my day. By
Right.
7:30, I'm feeling pretty good. I've already
Yeah.
said, yes to those commitments that I promised myself
Set
I
good
was going to do.
intentions for the day. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it really just builds that confidence leading into the day more than anything. And then from there, I really don't plan my days. I like to plan my weeks.
Okay.
I don't like to plan my days because it leaves me too restricted. I like to categorize, like this book, The 7 Habits, man. That's a good book. And it really kind of made me readjust my perspective on kind of how I do my to-do list and
Right.
what I'm actually trying to achieve with that.
Right.
So, and I kind of was already doing that. I just didn't realize it because I was trying to do the daily to-do list and it wasn't working, and I was just getting frustrated with
Well, it
myself.
sets you up for failure too. So if
Exactly.
you don't get everything done, you feel like crap.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
and
like,
that's
"Dang
where,
it,"
my partner
It's
Chris,
supposed to motivate
he
you, yeah.
is, the reason why I started doing it to do this. Like I said, mentorship is everything.
Yeah.
And what I found for me personally, it just works a little bit better if I can just map out my week versus my
for
day.
sure.
And that's where I'm not kind of constantly chasing chaos. I can
Yeah.
focus on the high priority, tasks that are going to really get me that big splash effect long term.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do the same thing. So on Mondays is my admin day.
Yeah.
That's what I like to call it. So
Yeah.
pre-COVID,
Yeah.
I would make sure I don't have anything planned on Mondays. I would sit in my office. I would stay in my office, make sure my office was set for the week, and I would plan my week.
Yeah.
That way I know exactly where I'm going.
Right.
Every day, I know exactly what I'm doing, my goal is by Friday. That's the best way to do it, because I found the
Absolutely.
same thing. If I do a
Absolutely.
daily to-do list, you're setting yourself up for failure
Right.
already, because if you don't get it done, you're like, oh, I just failed.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to
Well, and then
motivate you to
just
be
stop,
successful.
You just end up stop using that
Yeah,
tool,
yeah.
and then pretty soon it's a week later,
For
or
sure.
2 weeks
Yep.
later,
Yeah.
a month later, and your kind of your whole life starts to unravel.
Yeah.
So I absolutely am a firm believer in writing out my to-do list for
Yeah.
the week,
Yeah.
and then I write out my weekly goals
Yeah.
as well as my long-term goals, you know,
Right.
in congruency with that. And
Yeah.
I really like that book, though. It's really
Yeah.
like
That's awesome.
that one
good.
really has been sticking with me a little bit. So I'm looking to now rewrite my personal mission statement, and I
Yeah.
think that will give me a lot more direction in my today, like my weekly tasks and
Yeah.
everything, and we'll
Yeah.
just flow from there. So that's kind of what I'm going to be working on next, if that helps.
That's awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
Yeah.
something you mentioned a couple of times is mentorship. So I think that's super important. I've been a huge advocate of mentorship. How important has that been in your life? It sounds like obviously it's really the basis of your success.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Would you, like our viewers, would you suggest that they have a mentor, and what is the relationship like? Do you guys meet weekly? Do you talk daily? Like, what does that look like?
You know, I've had a lot of different mentors,
Yeah.
you know, over over my lifetime in different, you know, areas I was trying to improve, right?
Of course, yeah.
I don't have one specific mentor there's no one fix all.
For
you know
sure.
what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But what I've found is if you aren't looking to try and mimic success
Yeah.
and try and recreate success, it's a nightmare,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
So if you can connect with somebody that understands you and your dream, you know what I mean?
For
Yeah.
sure.
It really just makes everything open up to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And accountability, right?
Well, 100%. The
Yeah.
accountability is more so on you than on the
For sure,
mentor, right?
yeah.
You having to hold yourself accountable.
Well, and it
committing.
helps when you tell that successful person, like, hey, this is
Yeah.
what I want to do. Then that puts that, okay, well, I told him, now I better do it.
Well,
you
it's
know?
one of those
Yeah.
things, too. When you give, they're going to give.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for
As you
sure.
commit, those people that see you working are
And
going to
love
commit.
you and
Yep,
want you to
for
be
sure.
successful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Share with us a little bit, because you make it sound so easy. It just kind of flows out. But was there a time in the last 5 years where you kind of doubted yourself, or like, what did I do, or this is hard, or was it just always good? For
No,
the
no,
last
no.
5 years, right?
Oh,
no.
it wasn't perfect all the
And
time?
just
What do you
share
mean?
A little
No.
bit of that.
Um,
How'd you overcome that? What did you do for yourself? What same thing? Did you just get out your book? Did you, pray? What helped you get through that? What
Yeah.
helped you follow through?
So for me personally, you can't help anybody else until you help yourself,
Yeah.
right? So it's a little tough to talk about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's one of those things where I was, going through
Yeah.
a lot of stress trying
Yeah.
to figure out ways
Yeah.
to make all this work.
This
Yeah.
business will take you down. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
It can,
You
it
let
can.
Sure will.
So I just found myself, circling around destructive habits.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And the more I tried to push my way,
Yep.
the way I wanted it to go,
Yeah.
the less it happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you overcame it, and you're here, and
Yeah.
look at where you're at. You're in
Yeah.
this space now, and who would
Circling
have thought?
just-
Yeah,
Helping
it's
people.
it's quite the ride, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's one of those things where you have to be able to look back at the failures in
Yep.
order to
Yeah.
progress.
Yes.
For sure.
And
Absolutely.
100%.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, going through the brokerage, destruction, we just
Yeah.
tore shit down basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
do.
we we're doing great as far as, creating all this stuff, but
Yeah.
it was just so much and it was so chaotic. We just
Yeah.
said this isn't worth it and we started
Yeah.
over.
I
Good
love
for
that.
you.
I love that.
And it was very tough.
yeah.
For
But
sure.
you're here now, and you're on the
Yeah.
other end.
Circling destructive habits. So I
Yes.
love that phrase because
Yes.
at least when you say circling destructive habits, so you're identifying the habits, right? You're identifying that behavior is not going to work for you anymore.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
pull out. So I think
Yep.
that's the most important thing. My dad has always said, it's not how you get into a situation,
Yeah.
it's how you get out of it.
Yep.
Right.
So that
You
is,
said that a couple times on here. It's
Yeah.
good. It's so good.
it's my favorite quote.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad.
Yeah. But from there, I just kind of said I need to make a change.
Yeah.
And I started going back to church.
Yeah.
And
Good. Yeah.
everything has just kind of,
That's
just fallen into
amazing,
place.
yeah.
And I can absolutely say I'm in a much better place today.
You look
That's
it, and
awesome.
you look great, and we're so proud of your success.
Yes.
20 transactions between January now, especially during COVID-19. It's unheard of. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are doing really well, but
Yeah.
the fact that you just plunged through and kept going and
Yep.
kept your head held high, everything that you've been through, I think it's pretty phenomenal.
I appreciate it.
I
Thank you.
love that you came and shared with us. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yeah, my
We
pleasure.
really appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you
Yes,
so much,
thank you so much
homie.
for having
Fall
me.
homie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much for checking us out, and we hope you liked our Discomfort Zone podcast. And I'm Katrina Hanshaw with the Christian Dawn Lending Team again, and we can't wait for you guys to watch, and we'll see you again.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.